Hey YouTube, Estacado 5000 here. What's up? Here's another retro deck profile from the Washington DC 2000 Show and Jump Championship Series. That's called Warrior. So here we go. We got free Cyber Dragon. What this card allows you to do is when your opponent controls monsters on their field and you don't have any, you can special summon this from your hand. So this was a really good staple back in those times. I just love Cyber Dragon because Cyber Dragon was one of my favorite cards back in that format, because it allowed you to get your monsters like Zaborg, Jinzo, Ryza out pretty easily. It's really good. Then you got 2DD Assailant. Basically what this does is when this is destroyed in battle and sent to the graveyard, this and the monster that destroyed it is both removed from play. So it's really good to get rid of cards like Jinzo back then with it. It's pretty awesome. Then you got Azura Priest, which was a really good card at the time, but a little bit underrated at the time. But this card destroyed Scapegoat in one swift motion, because when this is on the field, this can attack all your opponent's monsters at a time. It's pretty crazy, because you attack them directly with this card, they activate Scapegoat, this effect triggers, you can attack all 4 goats. It's just insane. That's why Azura Priest was pretty decent back then. You got one Breaker of the Magical Warrior. This allows you, when it's summoned, normal summoned, you can put a spell counter on it, and then its other effect is you remove the spell counter and you can destroy one spell and trap card on your opponent's field. And while it has a spell counter on it, it gains 300 attack points. So this becomes a 1900 point attack monster when this is summoned with the spell counter. But once the spell counter is gone, it goes back to its normal attack of 1600. But it was a pretty good card back in the day. This card was even more interesting when Tempest Magician came out in late 2008, which has an effect which allows you to give Breaker another spell counter by discarding one card from your hand, basically, from Tempest Magician's effect. You know what I mean? Then you got DD Warrior Lady. This allows you to get rid of annoying monsters like Treeborn Frog, Spirit Reaper, and a lot of other cards. Even Card Trooper you can get rid of Card Trooper with this. Also Jinzo as well, even though you'll take some damage, but it's worth it unless it's a face-on defense mode. But what I would usually do if I had if there was a Jinzo on my opponent's field, I'd just summon this, take the 900 points of damage, and both this monster and Jinzo get banished. Then you got 2 Dawn Zalugs. Obviously, what this does is every time it inflicts battle damage to your opponent's life points, you can either select one random card from their hand and send it to the graveyard, or mill the top 2 cards of their deck and send it to the graveyard. So it's pretty good. And this is searchable by Mystic Tomato, so it's pretty awesome. 3 Mystic Tomato. This allows you to summon cards like Dawn Zalug directly from the deck to the field in attack mode, or Sangan. There's a couple of options, depends on the situation, but it's a pretty good monster. Or you can summon another Mystic Tomato. So there's a lot of options. Then you got 2 Exile Force, which allows you to tribute this monster when it's on the field to destroy one monster on your opponent's field. Then you got 1 Sangan, Neospatial Grand Mole, and Spirit Reaper to round up the monsters. Now for the spells, you got 2 Reinforcements of the Army, which allows you to get an Exile Force, a DD Assailant, DD Warrior, Dawn Zalug, so you got a good amount of options, obviously. Then you got 2 Nolem and a Crossout, which allows you to get rid of annoying monsters like Treeborn Frog, Spirit Reaper, Gravekeeper Spy, Dekochi. There's a lot of options you can use for this card. Then you got Creature Swap. You got 2 of them. Basically, you swap out your Sangan, take one of their most powerful monsters, and give them your weak monster like Sangan or an Exile Force or something, or Mystic Tomato. Then you destroy your own Mystic Tomato. Then get your Dawn Zalug out on the field, and yeah, it's pretty insane. Then you got 1 Shrink, Pot of Avarice, Fissure, Smashing Ground, Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, Premature Burial, and Scapegoat. For the trap cards, you got 2 Sakuratu Armor, 2 Dust Tornado to get rid of some spell and trap card removal, Bottomless Trap Hole, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, and Call the Haunted. So that's the retro deck profile. Hope you all enjoy. More videos coming soon. Comment and subscribe. Later, guys.